They they can't do this. They can't do this. What about my hands? What about these fingers over here? What about these 3 fingers? What about it? What about it? No, you're not here. You're rebuked. And even if you're here, there are many in this realm. There are many in this realm, and you are rebuked, and Jesus is the king, and you're just kicking and screaming on your way out and perishing. It's embarrassing.
The official story of the March 8th shooting at Rihanna's home was presented as clean, simple, and closed within hours. Authorities framed it as the act of a lone, obsessed woman suffering a sudden psychological break, followed by a quick arrest. But that version of events has started to crack. An AR-15 was reportedly fired at a home where 10 people were inside, including an infant. Within 24 hours, staff were seen loading a bassinet into an SUV, suggesting the family was leaving the property as if the threat had not truly ended. As if whatever happened that night was still unresolved. Now, new details have pushed that fear into public view. A warning email sent weeks before the attack. Unconfirmed reports of a possible second shooter still unaccounted for. And newly released federal documents that online commentators have linked to people in Rihanna's orbit. The simple version of the story is no longer enough. The real question now is not whether the official narrative was incomplete. It is how much more may still be hidden beneath it.
Beyonce for sure. I love her. I love Beyonce. Jay-Z too, I really admire.
The collapse of that official story began in a Los Angeles courtroom, buried in custody filings connected to Ivana Ortiz's estranged husband, Jed Valdez. Attached to those filings was an email Ortiz allegedly sent on January 26, more than a month before she reportedly drove across the country and opened fire. In that message, she did not ask for reassurance. She issued a demand. She told Valdez to renounce Rihanna and confess that she was better than her. The message ended with a chilling command, "Let it be done." Valdez received that warning. But according to the narrative now under scrutiny, he did nothing. He did not call police. He did not alert Rihanna's security team. He did not warn Ortiz's family. That single email changes everything. It challenges the idea of a sudden, impulsive breakdown and instead suggests fixation, planning, and intent. Rihanna was not a random target in a moment of chaos. She appears to have been fixed in Ortiz's mind long before a weapon was ever fired. And that raises a far more dangerous question. If her husband knew, who else knew?
My heart and it's in my vitality, and I'm very, very grateful to you for your abundant graces. Listen, Rihanna, when you God is taking me to my future, you want to shut up, okay? Shut up. Yeah, she's a witch. She's a witch. I'm a watchman. She's a witch. Get that stupid girl out of here, okay?
That question only became more serious when another unsettling element surfaced, this time not from court filings, but from police dispatch audio circulating online. According to those unconfirmed recordings, the initial dispatch may have described not one shooter, but two. A Hispanic male was reportedly seen leaning out of the passenger side window of a white Tesla and firing alongside Ortiz. The LAPD has not confirmed this. But they also have not publicly denied it. And that silence has widened the case dramatically. If there was a second person in that car, then the entire framework of the lone actor narrative begins to fall apart. This would no longer be the story of one disturbed woman making a reckless journey across the country. It would suggest coordination, planning, assistance, possibly even an operation involving more than one person. And if that is true, then Ortiz's arrest may not have ended the threat at all. It may have only removed one visible piece of it.
Rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by...
Then came the third element, the one that moved the discussion beyond a violent incident and into a far larger web of public suspicion. In January, the Department of Justice released millions of pages of documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Within those documents, online observers identified Rihanna's name in a data set of calls from Epstein's network, while Jay-Z's name appeared in an unverified FBI tip from 2019. The FBI has stated clearly that such tips are raw, unverified, and may contain false or misleading information. Still, the documents are real. The names are real. And in the weeks after those files entered public conversation, a woman allegedly drove across the country and opened fire on Rihanna's home. That timing does not prove a connection. but it has created one in the public imagination. And once those threads were placed beside the ignored warning and the possible second shooter, the official story began to look less like a conclusion and more like a cover over unanswered questions.
Beyonce.
Gorgeous, a stab to my self-esteem.
Now the pressure on that narrative is coming from every direction. People are no longer only asking whether Ortiz was obsessed. They are asking why her husband did not act after receiving that email. They are asking who the second man in the Tesla may have been, and why authorities have not publicly addressed that possibility. They are asking whether the wider context surrounding the Epstein files has any relevance at all, or whether those names appearing together is simply coincidence. Even the vehicle itself has become a subject of intense speculation. The Tesla reportedly had tinted windows, a paper license plate, and a dirty undercarriage. On their own, those details may be ordinary. Paper plates are common. Dirt under a car can mean nothing. But in the absence of official clarification, neutral facts begin to take on darker meanings. Online investigators have interpreted those details as signs of planning, concealment, or attempts to avoid surveillance. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it reveals something important. When institutions remain silent, the public begins building its own narrative. And that narrative is growing.
No, Rihanna, no. You're not the eagle. They will soar high on wings like eagles. Rihanna wants to say that we are flying. That we are flying, and we're not. She's not flying. She had a bad day. She looks.
While speculation intensified online, the human cost of the shooting remained visible in the aftermath. Images of staff carrying a bassinet out of Rihanna's home made one thing impossible to ignore: this was not just a criminal case. It was a traumatic event that touched a family with children inside the house. Whatever the official reports say, those images suggested fear was still active the next day. Not symbolic fear. Not historical fear. Immediate fear. The family reportedly disappeared from public view, and that detail matters. Because it suggests they were not reacting to something finished. They were reacting to something they may have believed was unresolved. The system's response only deepened public unease. Bail was reportedly set at just over $10 million, and online commentators quickly calculated what it might actually take to secure release. To many, that number seemed shockingly low for someone accused of firing an AR-15 at the home of a billionaire with children inside. Again, authorities have offered little public explanation. And every unanswered question adds weight to every existing one.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public.
Another detail from the custody filing added yet another layer to the story. Jed Valdez stated that his child learned about the shooting from a classmate at school, not from a parent, not from a counselor, but from another child. While adults argued online over motives, logistics, and conspiracy theories, a minor connected to the center of the case was reportedly absorbing the news in public, without protection or preparation. That detail changed the emotional texture of the story. At the same time, online detectives became fixated on Ortiz's appearance in court, particularly the box braids she wore. Their argument was simple, that hairstyle takes time, planning, and deliberate preparation. To them, it did not fit the image of someone acting in a sudden, chaotic psychological break. It fit someone who expected to be seen, photographed, and judged. That is not proof of anything. But it has become part of a larger theory that Ortiz may have understood exactly what was coming, and that the image presented after the arrest was not accidental, but intentional.
You're a big fan of Beyonce.
The silence around the possible second shooter has only encouraged more public investigation. People online have freeze-framed helicopter footage, compared body proportions, and created mock-ups arguing that the figure visible near the vehicle appears taller than the woman arrested. None of that is confirmed evidence. But it shows what happens when official channels leave a vacuum: speculation moves in and hardens into belief. The same thing has happened with the Tesla. Tinted windows, paper plates, dirty undercarriage, each detail is now treated by some commentators as a clue. Alone, each fact is neutral. Together, they are being read as part of a possible pattern. And once the story expands beyond Los Angeles, the atmosphere becomes even more charged. Old interviews, award show clips, industry relationships, and past public moments involving Rihanna, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé have all been dragged back into circulation. None of these resurfaced moments prove anything about the shooting. But they have become part of the context through which the public is now trying to interpret it.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to
That wider context includes legal connections, celebrity history, and the overlapping worlds of power, influence, and public silence. Commentators have pointed to attorneys, old industry stories, and resurfaced footage as signs that the case may sit inside a larger ecosystem of influence, one where coincidence and pattern are increasingly difficult for the public to separate. Again, none of that is direct evidence of wrongdoing. But it is evidence of proximity, and proximity becomes powerful when answers are missing. This is why the lone wolf narrative no longer satisfies many people. The warning email suggests prior intent. The alleged second shooter suggests Ortiz may not have acted alone. The resurfaced federal documents have added a wider cloud of scandal. Historical clips and old stories are now being reinterpreted through the lens of the shooting. When all of those threads are placed together, the public sees not a closed case, but a layered one. And the deeper they look, the more it seems they are not asking what happened on March 8th alone. They are asking what led to it, and who may have known more than they admitted.
The fact that we work in an industry where we get to meet people that we actually are fans of. We don't become people who don't have special celebrities to them because we work in entertainment. Like,
We love certain people too.
we love certain people, and Beyonce is definitely probably the one and only at that level.
Think about that. The most Grammys, never won album of the year. That doesn't work.
The investigation was supposed to end with a familiar headline: a disturbed woman, a violent act, a quick arrest, case closed. But the warning email, the unconfirmed second shooter, the unresolved vehicle details, the public federal records, the resurfaced history, and the silence from nearly every institution involved have changed that completely. Now the silence itself has become part of the story. The LAPD has not publicly answered the questions people keep asking. The husband who allegedly received the warning has not explained why no action was taken. The unverified tip remains unverified. The possible second man remains unidentified. And every missing answer makes the public feel less like they are watching a finished case and more like they are witnessing the beginning of one. So the questions remain. Who else knew about the warning before the shots were fired? Was there really a second person in that car? If so, where is he? And how much of this story still has not been made public? Because whatever happened at Rihanna's home on March 8th, it no longer feels like the end of a story. It feels like the start of one that is still unfolding.